Should you do a lease back to a seller that's been in pre-foreclosure? Well, I would advise against it. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, if they couldn't make their house payment, why do you think they could pay you any kind of rent? Besides that, if I own a house and it's been my home and I got into trouble and I couldn't make the payments and I was about to get foreclosed on, and you came along and said, "Hey, I'll take over the payments on your house, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you can stay, but now you've got to pay me $400 a month more in rent." It's probably not going to take too long before I'm feeling a little bit resentful, especially if I had some equity in that property and now you possess that equity. So my advice to anyone taking a property subject to is not to lease it back. Uh, the only exception to that is a few deals that we've done over the years where maybe the seller's building a new house and they don't want to have two house payments. Builders are unpredictable. They'll give you a completion date, and a lot of times that date will be off by months because of weather or material issues or labor issues or whatever. So we have had cases where we've taken over. We went ahead, we bought the property, we let the seller stay in the property. They continued to make the payments on it, even though we owned it. And then the minute their house was finished, their new house, they would move and we would pick up the payments at that point. Now, in a case like that, that's probably okay. But if you're dealing with a seller in foreclosure specifically, and you agree to lease them the house back, the first payment they miss, what's going to happen? Are you going to ask them to leave? Well, they're probably not going to. I mean, they still consider it to be their home. So you're probably going to find yourself in front of a judge. And then you've got to make that explanation to the judge about, yeah, well, the house was worth 200. They owed 150. They were in foreclosure. They deeded me the house. I let them stay. And now they're not paying me. The judge probably isn't going to look at you very favorably. You may be well within your rights and well within the law to ask them to leave and to try to claim the house back, but it's just not going to make you the most popular guy in town. So for that reason, anytime we take a property subject to, especially if the seller's in trouble of some kind, they've got to vacate the premises before we close the transaction, especially if we're going to write them any kind of check, because once that check's been written, once that property's been closed and everything's been filed, getting them out is probably going to be an issue. So I wouldn't advise it. I don't think it's a good idea.